And I said, that's why you don't eat oranges in my chaos dimension, buddy. Sometimes the fruit bites you. I'm Anthony.
I'm Kirby.
I'm Dr. Kurtstad.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Jim.
Welcome to issue number 159 of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast. Each and every week, we meet here to talk about comic books. On this week's show, we have our weekly reviews, which we're going to go all the way around the internet, talk about the books that we've been reading, both old and new, and then we will jump into a letters page, which this week's question is, if you had to change the name of any comic book character, what would you change it to? So we'll get all of our answers later on in the show. And then we are going to introduce a brand new segment that Kirby suggested. We are calling it the Pocket Dimension. We're going to jump into the Pocket Dimension, see what goodies we've been hiding there. If you don't know what that means, you're going to have to stick around for the show and find out what the Pocket Dimension holds. Okay, so I will kick it off here with the weekly reviews. This is something... For the month of November, Marvel has celebrated the Native American Heritage Month. So they put out a bunch of variant covers, and I went through and collected them all. The covers are done by the artist Jeffrey Verigay of the Port Gamble Scalalum tribe. And I'll read this little message that he wrote that is on the back of the Marvel Voices, the Indigenous Voices #1 issue. So I'm going to read what Jeffrey has to say here. The story of the hero is an ancient one. Starting with the very first cave drawings, artists and writers from across the globe have both captured and shared the fateful acts of their people's heroes. Being from the Pacific Northwest, my own people, the Scalalum tribe, have used the art style known as formline to record and share the stories of our people since time immemorial. The art style I use in my own work today is an extension of the same shapes and forms used for hundreds of years by native artists from around the very same region. As a lifelong comics fan, artist and Native American, I am truly honored to work with Marvel Comics, not only to create pieces that represent a voice for Indigenous people in honor of Native American Heritage Month, but also for the opportunity to share the same storytelling spirit of my ancestors by sharing the tales of some of today's heroes. So this is the cover to the Marvel Voices, Indigenous Voices #1, which is a collection of short stories that is focusing on these characters such as Wyatt Wingfoot, Red Wolf, Thunderbird, Shaman, Snowbird, American Eagle, Mirage, Talisman, Black Crow, Warpath, Portal, Forge, Puma, Silver Fox, Risk, and Echo. Not all of these are represented in short stories, but the opening page is a pretty cool design here. It actually opens up with Jeffrey doing his take on the Watcher, Uatu the Watcher, as he kind of introduces what they're going to be doing in this single issue here. And here was the cool opening splash page that he did the art for and wrote, which is detailing a little history on these characters throughout the Marvel Universe, and some of those which are featured in this one-shot story. This here is also the variant edition of that with the cover designed by him. So what I'm going to do is show off all of his covers rather than diving into the stories. I just will show off what's available throughout the month of November. This one was from Widowmakers, Red Guardian, and Yelena Belova. Here is the Black Widow cover that Jeffrey designed. And once again, this is great for our YouTube audience and less exciting for the audio audience. But hey, maybe jump over to Crimson Cowl Comics on YouTube and check out this portion. Here is his Incredible Hulk. And then
Cool.
next up, we have Captain America. Then we're going to jump over to my personal favorite, not just because it's the character, but I do really like this design. And I had to look at the lettering on the back to see if I was holding it upside down or not. But this is the right side up of him upside down, Spider-Man. And then a really awesome Iron Man flying up into the sky. Then we've got another similar style there with the Thor cover. And last but not least, we've got, and this is for the Avengers title, is a Black Panther cover. So yeah, all of these covers here were done by Jeffrey for the month of November. They were all regular price variants, so I assume they will be easily obtainable as long as they're in stock from wherever you pick up comics. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool little initiative for the month of November, and I went into looking at some videos from Jeffrey and him talking about his art style, and contacted him on Twitter, and he linked me up to his website because he did a Silver Surfer and Galactus as well. And I got that one on my phone here, so I will show that off right here if I got the brightness level correct. There we go, a little bit better there. So yeah, basically Silver Surfer is kind of flying out of the mouth of Galactus. He's a little faded on this version, but in the actual image, yeah, Galactus is a little faded in the background there. But yeah, it was kind of cool to kind of explore his history and his art style, and look forward to what he's going to do next. So that is Jeffrey Verigay, who is doing the Native American Heritage Month covers for November from Marvel Comics. Cool. All right, we will jump over to Kirby for the next one while I rebag and board all of these.
I checked out the Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is the rerun by Nick Spencer and Ryan Otley.
Cool.
Years ago, as a high school student, Peter Parker was bitten by a radioactive spider and gained the proportional speed, strength, and agility of a spider. Adhesive fingertips and toes, and the unique precognitive awareness of danger called spider sense. After the tragic death of his Uncle Ben, Peter understood that with great power, there must also come great responsibility. He became the crime-fighting superhero called the Amazing Spider-Man. Back to Basics, Part 1. This was a nice, thick book, very enjoyable, a nice little go back to Spider-Man and Mary Jane and all that. He wakes to the world being attacked by these little green spider type things that are just falling from the sky, and the Avengers, a bunch of other heroes are just being attacked and taken out from these creatures. He thinks it's aliens. I'm not going to ruin it, who it is or anything like that. I know it's 2018, but I'm getting to it for the first time myself, so this was a very enjoyable read. If you want to get back into the Amazing Spider-Man, I haven't read anything since probably the ones in the 80s, and this was a fun reimagining and to bring back to the whole series. So yeah, I would definitely check it out if you want to get into some more Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that run. And Dr. Kurtzstead, you've been reading that.
Yes, I've been reading that one too. Yeah, it was really well done. It was nice to see a kind of movement back to the original Spider-Man in a lot of ways. And
yeah, after Dan Slott's 10-year run plus on the character, there was a lot of expectation to go into it, and then Nick Spencer, because they're up to like issue, I think 53 just came out this week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, a little behind.
Yeah, and Spider-Man likes to double ship, so so that doesn't help either. Is that there's sometimes even 3 issues a month, depending on the month. But I think he's really proven to kind of, like Dr. Kurtzstead said, with kind of bringing the character back to its roots, but then adding his own little spin on there, and I've really been enjoying it. And
yeah, I really like how he started it out. I don't like the reimaginings constantly being done and stuff, but I was happy with this one. It's definitely got me intrigued. So
yeah, and there's he likes to play the long game. Dan Slott did that as well. He'd always be like a couple years ahead of like 100 issues ahead, planting seeds. And Nick Spencer, if you continue on with the run, you'll kind of see that too. That he's really he knows the story he's telling. So
Yeah, this totally brought me back to my childhood. That's what I loved about it.
cool. All right, we will jump over to Dr. Kurtstad for the next title.
I have it on digital, but I know others were waiting for this with as much as anticipation as I was. Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune, Volume 1, what's going to be a 3-volume graphic novel series. It surpassed every expectation that I had of what they could do. Brian Herbert has an introduction at the beginning in which he says that for him and Kevin J. Anderson and those who worked on it, what they wanted to do was something that would just be an honor to Frank Herbert and to reproduce as well as they could in graphic novel format his book Dune, which is one of the, and in many people's minds, the science fiction novel that really defines what all science fiction is about. The artwork in it is beautiful. This is just an opening picture that's in there, the Sands of Dune. It's just, and then at the end of the book, I'll see if I can get over there really quickly. They have, that was Dune during the day, and if you go to the end then, they have the same scene, what it would look like at night. And they, throughout this, they were incredibly faithful to the dialogue that was in the original Dune book. It blew my mind how well they did this particular graphic novel. For those who know nothing about Dune, it's a science fiction series that introduces us to the planet Arrakis, where spice is produced. Spice is, in some ways, the chemical that makes the world go round. It allows the guild navigators who fly ships to be able to move through hyperspace. It expands the minds of mentats who are like human computers. It gives the power to the Bene Gesserit who have mystical kind of mind powers. All the world spins around the use of spice, which also lengthens life. And it only is produced on this one planet in the galaxy. So the series Dune really, or the book Dune, is really all about the political sort of maneuverings everybody is having to control the spice that's on Arrakis. And the main character is Paul Atreides, the prince of one of the houses of the Galactic Empire, who has powers no one will know until the very end of the Dune book. The interesting thing was about this, that they also produced this graphic novel. The original Dune book is split into 3 segments, and so they have 3 graphic novels that will cover each segment of the original novel. And I can't say enough about it. If you are a Dune fan, you have to go out. I'm thinking about getting the actual copy of it because it's so incredible, even on digital copy. But you have to go and see it. And those who haven't been introduced to the Dune world can also pick this up and right away be able to enter into what's a really incredible story in the science fiction world. Go and get it.
Cool. All right, but enough about Dune. Let's jump over to Katie and let's hear about Dune.
Okay, thank you. I am bringing Dune, House Atreides #2. I will end up talking about spoilers for this book, so skip past if you aren't interested.
I have to cover my ears because I haven't read it yet.
Okay, yeah. Everyone who hasn't read it yet and take a moment to put your phone down, and we'll pick back up in a second.
I'll listen.
All right, everyone set? All right, let's go. Dune, House Atreides #2 by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. This is adapting a book that's been out for a while. I have not read it, so this is still a whole new world to me, and I think it is an excellent entry point into the world of Dune. I feel like I fully comprehend the characters and getting the sense of the story that's going forward, and I really appreciate that. I think in terms of an adaptation, this is very solid. What else? It is a beautifully illustrated book. I'm really enjoying it. I'm reading it digitally, so I look forward to eventually getting a print copy of it where I think it will look even better. And let's see. So again, some spoilers. Last issue we set up who are the characters, and now we're finding out what are they going to do. So the Emperor's planetologist is going with some of the members of the Harkonnen family on a sandworm hunt. So we get to see the iconic sandworms right away, and wow, do they look cool. That was very exciting. There's a lot of action in this book for a standard sized comic. We jump from the excitement of the giant sandworms on Arrakis to the sisterhood of the Bene Gesserit in one of their temples. So the Bene Gesserit, we find out, have been running effectively a selective breeding program for generations, and they think they've finally figured it out. They've found the matching and the DNA to get what they want from this outcome, this program. So that was interesting, a little weird. But the Bene Gesserit to me are kind of a little bit weird. They walk the line of being a witch versus being a cleric and a scholar. So it has that right element of spooky idea to it. That was cool. So obviously that's going to be important later on. And then next we jump to Duncan, Idaho, but Duncan, Idaho as a young boy. So in the movie that came out in the 80s, Duncan, Idaho was an adult played by Patrick Stewart, and in the upcoming movie will be played by Jason Momoa, and we see Duncan being hunted by some minions of the Harkonnens. They're really into blood sport and they love violence and stuff like that. And basically, they've set up this maze for Duncan to run through, with the caveat that if you survive, we will let you and your family go, because we find out they're holding his family prisoner. And if you want to find out if he's surviving, you should read the book. But that was pretty cool, a fun chase scene. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And then finally we get to our hero, Leto Atreides. He is a teenager and he is going to the planet Ix to finish his education. And they drop him off and they leave him on this planet, and he's going, wait a second, this doesn't look right, because he's out in the middle of the desert and there's nobody around. So we'll find out what our brave, daring hero does in next issue to get himself to civilization on what may or may not be the planet Ix. But this book is a ton of fun. I'm really enjoying it. Like I've previously.
Yep. Did we lose her?
Yep, we lost her. Oops, she's
And
back.
she's back.
I'm back.
Really,
I'm back.
you've been enjoying
Yeah,
it?
so I have been enjoying this book very much. And you know what? I think that's all I will say about it. Dune, House of Atreides from Boom Studios, issue number 2. And that's my story.
All right.
And
We'll
sticking to it.
jump over to Jim and see what he's been up to with his next title here. What's going on here?
Okay, this is one I thought the title sounded interesting while I was browsing through the listing of new titles, and it was. It's called Hot Valley Days and Cocaine Nights. And once I got it, I find out it is based on a true story. The true story of Janie, and then they have her name redacted. This was like, especially since it is a true story, it was even more interesting. A story set in the late 80s, and this young woman is a drug dealer, and it's sets up what's going on with her. She's trying to set up a huge deal, and then it flashes back and forth between the mid to late 70s and how she got involved in this kind of lifestyle. And it has a lot to do with her family, and it was not a good family situation for her as a young child. And she and her younger brother escaped that by getting involved in the drug life. They kind of end up on where things start going bad for her, as far as, gunfire and, things going wrong, so and this is going to be a 3-issue thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 2 just to see how the story turns out. And it is a book for not only because of the drug use and everything, but because of other situations. It is a book for mature readers. So don't give this one to your children. Beyond that, it's from Antarctic Press, and this is the art and story, the story's good. The story's really good. The art it's kind of cartoony for the subject matter, but it's not bad. But it's well made. It's heavy stock cover. It doesn't flop. And then every page is cardstock.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it an oversized page count too, or?
It is. This is a 30, I think I counted 36 pages of story, plus 5 or 6 pages of back material. They have like actual photographs of the real life Janie and some of the other
Those are some cool sunglasses that all those people are wearing.
Yeah. And then they have some sketches as well. So I think it probably going to total out at like 40 pages of cardstock. So, but still for $3.99.
Cool.
So just finding these weird titles all of a sudden, it turns out to be something really cool once in a while.
All right. Cool. All right. My next title here is something I was very excited for. It was planned to be out earlier this year, and COVID pushed it back. I was getting worried that it was going to be scraped altogether, but no, it's here. I am talking about Kick-Ass versus Hit Girl, issue number 1 of 5. Old allies become enemies when Mindy screeches into Albuquerque to kill the imposter who's been running gangs in New Mexico. And as Hit Girl sets out to avenge Dave and stop Kick-Ass's criminal operations for good, Patience fights to survive as the target of the best assassin in the biz and questions whether she could ever kill a child to save her own life. I've talked about the current Kick-Ass title several times throughout the last couple years. This is following the events of the original 3-book series, collected series of the Kick-Ass title. But this one follows Patience, who is an ex-soldier. She came home from the war, and her husband had cheated on her and was left with all this debt, left to raise the children. They were all walked out on, and Patience found a way to make ends meet, and she decided to suit up as the very public character of Kick-Ass, and she used her skills from being a soldier and able to take down rival gangs to basically be like a Robin Hood type of character. And she kind of realized all of this crime that she was kind of taking down. She was going to pocket some of the money, but only enough to pay for her expenses because she had school and children and all this debt that her husband had left her. So that was kind of her way to kind of make it okay, is that she would just keep what she needed, and that would be that. But that kind of escalated over the last couple of years, over the course of I think they did maybe 17, 18 issues of her Kick-Ass title. And she started to create her own gang, and things got, way out of hand when she basically created a gang to stop other gangs. And, so now she's doing more, evil stuff, even though her heart's intent was to do something good. So while all of that was happening, there was also a Hit Girl series that debuted at the same time, but it referenced nothing to this book. The Hit Girl and the Kick-Ass titles, even though the characters existed together in the original series, these 2 books existed in the same timeline, but in different literal parts of the world, and didn't really reference one another. But there was one issue of, I want to say it was the Hit Girl book, It was one or the other, but it was Hit Girl who caught the TV news bit about this kick-ass superhero being shown that somebody is impersonating Kick-Ass, and that was like the last page reveal for her to go and be like, all right, somebody's imitating my friend, and she's not going to stand for it. So that started this Kick-Ass versus the Hit Girl mini-series. This one is very I was trying to think if this one's introductory for people who haven't been reading anything. If this is your first taste of anything Kick-Ass related, there might be a lot of confusing elements here. If you have not read this current run, I think this maybe is a good jump on point for those people. But yeah, it's something that's pretty exciting, and I like that Mark Miller has taken his characters that he co-created. He did the initial arcs, and then he's been handing it off to different writers and different artists and letting them go wild with their styles and storytelling. And yeah, he's not doing this one either. So it's this is one that you would think that he would be writing, but I kind of like how he kind of established the new world for these characters and has just given freedom to everybody else. Steve Niles and Marcelo Fruzen, Sonny Go, and John Workman is the creative team for this 5-issue crossover that I highly enjoyed, and I am excited for the remaining 4. So that is Kick-Ass versus Hit Girl. And the only thing, I am sad that when this is over, I'm not sure if that just means this is it for both of those books together, or if they're just going to continue on with the numbering. So, but both series have been pretty good. So if this is their, final little punch for this iteration, then I'm highly anticipating what they have to say. So, all right, we will jump over to Kirby for the next one.
Oh yeah, Volcano Goddess. I checked out from Art Baltazar and Franco again. I checked out Grimmiss's Island. Nice little trade paperback. Not to mistake them for Grimm. It's Grimmiss. But they basically, the Islanders throw together all, let's see what we got here. When the Volcano Goddess threatens the Mama Woogies tiny island, only little Grimmiss can save the day. The wacky yarn has it all: hot lava, lost love, and witch doctors. Basically, the island every so often or whatever will get burned up and from the volcano, and they gotta offer things up to the Volcano Goddess. And they put together a little hot pepper habanero type voodoo mix together in the hot pot, and Grimmiss appears and gets shot into the volcano and meets up with the Volcano Goddess, and they fall back in love and saves the island for a little while until their love heats up the island a little bit too much, and it's just all kinds of little fun little stories going on and on, but things keep happening, and Grimmiss, to try and cool down the island a little bit, goes and all the way through the planet and to the opposite side of the world, and where he comes across the Yeti, and he makes him some magical snow that won't melt and stuff like that. So he takes that back, and then the giant tiki monsters come to life, and Grimmiss has to deal with them and does little things to settle them down. And then the giant tiki monsters' girlfriends come to the island, wonder where the giant tiki monsters are. And they gotta fix that issue. It's another fun and wonderful adult and child novel comic from Art Baltazar and Franco, but they're keeping it up. Just as much fun as Itty Bitty Hellboy, Itty Bitty Mask, and all those were so far. I just keep coming across more and more of them, so gonna keep them up, keep reading them. But that's a good family friendly, one to jump on. Anything done by those two. So.
Oh yeah.
Right.
All right, we will jump over to Dr. Kurtstad for our next title.
Well, a lot of if you've been following these at all, you know every now and then I bring in stuff from Werewolf by Night from the 1970s is when most of the books were written. But just recently, Marvel went back and started a new series, Werewolf by Night. And I was really excited about this book too, to see what they were going to do with Werewolf by Night. What was really, the 70s series was really tied up with the MGM monster sort of thing. There was a real feel about that. And this book varies from that, but yet the story is just really neat. The whole thing starts with some people out on Hopi land out in the Arizona desert, shooting it up after they get drunk, shooting at rapids, and a Native American young woman named Molly comes up and tells them, you know, this is our land, you should be respecting it. They're kind of just push her out of the way and don't pay any attention. She goes, I better warn you, there's a monster that roams this place and will catch you. And they all make fun of her until this suddenly shows up right in front of him. It turns out to be her brother Jake, who has inherited the werewolf sort of, it's hard to say it's a curse in this. In one level, it is a curse. His father is in jail for misuse of the powers that come with being a werewolf, but Jake has found it a way to battle evil forces that are on the reservation, criminals. With his sister's help, she pipes music into some earbuds that he has in that calm him down and allow him to control the werewolf when he's in that form. And so he uses that then to do good. We also get pictures of him in his normal life, living with his grandmother, working at a fast food place, doing all these things on the side. But the story is then set up with there is a corporation right around the reservation land that is doing evil things. And Molly, his sister, has this feel that there's something wonky going on at the plant. And so she convinces Jake that they need to get in there and find out what the corporation is doing. And that sets up the storyline. We do find out, and I'm not going to give all the elements away, but that this corporation has been kidnapping young people from the reservation to use in experiments. And when they show up, they are surprised by what the corporation has been producing. So now Jake and Molly are faced with more than they expected. So that's the beginning, the first issue of Werewolf by Night. And I think it's a great return to what has been a traditional title in Marvel Comics before, rewritten in a new way with a really great story. And it honors that Native American Heritage Month too, to begin Werewolf by Night as a Native American hero in the Marvel world.
Yeah, and the writer of that is, does it say Taboo on there, who I think is one of the band members?
Writers are Taboo and B. Earl. Scott Eaton does the art. Scott Hanna does the inks, and Miroslav Mra does the color art.
And that Taboo guy is actually a band member from the Black Eyed Peas, I found out.
Oh.
And they have a little write-up in the back of the Indigenous Stories #1 that I had talked about too. And and yeah, so there's a lot of insight, and they were talking about developing that story and stuff too. So
they've really done a great job on the first issue, and I'm looking forward to the future ones.
Cool. All right, now it's time to go to a galaxy far, far away and meet up with our Jedi ambassador, Katie.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we are traveling through a whole bunch of galaxies this week, and once again, we are going to settle on Jakku. So this book is called Star Wars Adventures Destroyer Down. It is from the Star Wars Adventures line that I've been reviewing, and the premise is as we see in The Force Awakens, there's a whole bunch of scrap ships all over the desert of Jakku, and Unkar Plutt, kind of the mob boss of the area, is holding a competition for the scavengers to go into a big old Star Destroyer and bring him some prized artifacts. And Rey is very excited to use her scavenging skills and explore the Star Destroyer that people haven't seen in like 25 years. So there's a big race. Rey is the first one to get there, but there's competition hot on her heels. And they go through this big, abandoned, scary Star Destroyer. And while they're in there, they find some history from the last battle between the Empire and Rebellion. And Rey gets to finally see all these heroes from the Rebellion that she has heard about and idolized and dreamed of, and finally get to actually see them, what they look like. And there's a really cool moment with an X-Wing and some droids that I enjoyed quite a bit. And this is just really fun. It was a complete story in one volume. Like most of the Star Wars Adventures titles, you don't have to have read any of the other ones to get it. Something that I really appreciated is this gives us more background on Rey. As a fan, she's a character I like, but I felt like needed some more details to really explain her character. And this gave her excitement, her thirst for knowledge, and her determination, and that she is actually a very skilled scavenger. And that was really fun. And then we give her a little connection to the rebellion that we know she will eventually be a part of. It was really nice, good to get details for that character. She is the main character of the story, and yet there's not a lot of information about her, so I enjoyed seeing that quite a bit. And this is a great title for the whole family to read together. It's perfectly acceptable for kids 5 and up to read, and something that I think everyone can enjoy and will speak to the child in all of our hearts. So that is Star Wars Adventure, Destroyer Down.
Cool. All right, we are going to jump over to Jim for our next book.
All right, this is another number one. This is, I think, is going to be an ongoing series, and it is called Scarenthood. This is from IDW, which is interesting because I usually kind of speed through the IDW section of the catalogs because I don't usually find much there. But this one is really interesting. And additional bonus for me, who is into Irish history and Irish culture, this story is set in Ireland, modern day Ireland. And it involves 4 adults who every day they meet as they are dropping off their kids at the local community center for the daycare program. One day, they are the only 4 left, as everybody else is going on the field trip. So they decide that they're just going to hang out together, maybe go get a drink. And then while they're doing it, they talk about one of the characters, Flinno. He has said that, years ago when he was a child, in this very building, his brother disappeared by taking a dare to go under the stage and was never seen again. So these other 3 parents decide, well, this is, he's just pulling our leg or whatever. They're going to go and investigate this, and they find that weird things happen. And Cormac, who seems to be the main character, he goes in, his cell phone light dies, he comes out, and it's like 12 hours later. And he's getting missed calls from one of the other mothers saying, I took your child home, you got to call me, you got to come in. And then they kind of leave off with, things, weird things going after he goes and picks up his daughter, and he finds out there's weird things happening even at his house. So I believe this is, like I said, I believe this is going to be an ongoing series. And yeah, there's interesting, it's not very elaborate art, but it's enough to get the story across. Whereas here we go. He's in the crawl space underneath the stage. and he finds at the very back, he finds this statue of the Virgin Mary that at one time was hanging above the curtains of the stage and all of a sudden disappeared and has been gone for many, many years. And that's where he finds it all covered in roots. As soon as he touches the statue, that's when the lights go on off and he got lost in time for so long. So this is written in art by Nick Roche or Roche. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. It's been either way. And colors by Chris O'Halloran. Downside, this book was $4.99, and it is only a 22-page story. So I don't know why the higher price compared to other IDW titles just generally aren't that much more than anybody else. So, but other than that, it was a good story, and I do like it. I'm going to continue reading it, I think, for now.
Pretty good. All right. The next one I'm going to talk about here is touching base with the Buffy and Angel world over at Boom. And this is the Angel issue number 15. Just going to queue up my premise here. Okay, here we go. Angel and Spike issue number 15. Wolfram and Hart has been meddling in the lives of Team Angel, and the cracks are starting to show. As Fred wrestles for control over her new dark magic, Angel is too distracted by his connection with Detective Kate Lockley and her mysterious connection to his past to see it. All right, so there's a lot going on in this book. I'm not going to dive into the details of Winifred Burkle and her connection with Wolfram and Hart and a demon spirit and her evil path that's going on. I'm not going to talk about Angel and his visions and the detective human Kate Lockley and all the weird trippy stuff they're going through. I'm going to concentrate actually what happened in the month before so I can kind of dive into spoilers a little more with issue number 14, which put Angel, Kate, Spike, and Gunn basically on this this hunt because there's been some attacks around LA, and they decided to do some investigating to kind of see what kind of demons and monsters or vampires are going to be part of these nightly attacks. But what they end up finding out is, and this is perfect after, if you didn't get enough Werewolf by Night from Dr. Kurtzstad, you can get some more werewolf action going on here in Angel and Spike issue number 14. Now, what was cool about this art style, which I think it was a different artist that jumped on to this issue, illustrated by Hayden Sherman, colored by Roman Titov, and written by Zach Thompson. But yeah, I really like the art style. It is kind of an homage in a way to Francesco Francavilla art, dealing with his horror art and his purples and his oranges and dark blues and stuff like that. So reading this, I thought at first that Francesco had jumped on for the interiors. So what I really, really liked about this that wanted me to bring this title to the club here is the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, all right, cool. We've been dealing with demons and vampires, but we haven't dealt with werewolves within this current Boom relaunch of the Buffy and Angel universe. And by the end of this issue, for those that have not read it yet, this did come out last month, so I waited an extra month to reveal it. But the werewolf transforms back into the human form of a guy named Oz. Now, this ain't the all-powerful Great Wizard of Oz. That's a whole different thing. This ain't a crossover. Though it probably would be legal because that's probably all open domain, and they could probably do that if they really wanted to. Oz, if you know Oz, played by Seth Green, started in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, had a little crossover into the Angel season 1, but is primarily a Buffy series character. In the current Boom relaunch, Oz actually has nothing to do with the Buffy title, at least as of yet. So while reading this, what I liked about this so much is that even though a werewolf popped up, my brain didn't even go to the classic werewolf from the Buffy and Angel television show, mostly because he wasn't in the Buffy series. They've started Willow on a different path, which wouldn't really have Oz part of the story, at least at this moment. So it's just one of those things being like, oh, if they're just going to skip that character completely, that's fine. But it was a great surprise to see him pop up in here, and we don't know enough yet to see what if he will show up in Buffy or if he's just strictly going to be an Angel character or maybe just in and out of the series like that. But that was the cool surprise of it all, is that the whole time flipping through the pages, not once did my mind think, oh well, that's got to be Oz, just mostly because they didn't even touch base with him in the other books. So that was a cool way to introduce the character, to make it surprising and kind of put their own little new modern take what they're doing with the Buffy and Angel books here. So yeah, I highly enjoyed that, and I'm very excited to see mostly what Oz will be doing in the future of these series. So been really enjoying them, and the Willow miniseries had just wrapped up. I just got issue number 5 in the mail that I have to read yet. And if you've read the recent Buffy issues, you'll see the previews catalog, which we'll talk about this one in a couple weeks. There is a new title that will be showing up, spinning out of the Buffy and Angel books. Not sure if it's a mini series, but I'm very much excited for it. I won't reveal it yet if you haven't read the latest Buffy, but I like what they're doing here, and it's very smart of them to keep spinning off all these miniseries, so we keep buying more comics. So yep, that is my review ultimately for Angel and Spike issue number 14 as well as number 15, dealing with Oz the Werewolf. And we'll find out to see if he's part of a band called Dingoes Ate My Baby or not. We'll see if they throw that into it. Okay.
As soon as you mentioned werewolf, I was going to ask you if it was Oz.
Yeah, and like I said, when it happened, I was just like, oh, duh, of course it's Oz. But just because they have not even introduced him at all in Buffy, that just kind of threw me off the scent, if you will. And I didn't even see that coming. So that's why I'm always the perfect reader, because I'm never guessing ahead, overthinking. I'm always right there in the moment, and I'm there for every intended reveal. So if you're a writer and you want to get the most genuine reaction out of me, I just start sending me PDFs of your books, and I can read advanced copies or something. So okay, that is going to do it for my titles, but we have one more. If I didn't miss anything else, let's jump over to Kirby.
Yeah, if they do some new little runs with Oz, I'll be jumping back on. I dropped off after Hellmouth, but the way they did that, bringing him in like this, maybe we'll actually get a longer running of Oz. So that's one thing I was bummed out. He was just too short-lived on Buffy, and I would have loved to see him go on further. So we might get what we want. So
and a fun fact, if that nobody asked for, but Seth Green, he started, being in the Austin Powers movies and starting to get a movie career, and he had the opportunity to run off and do those movies, but he was contracted on Buffy, so he had brought it up to Joss, and Joss immediately said, "Oh yeah, you're going to go do the movies. We'll just." Casually write you out. And, as much as he would, but definitely would have had more stories for him, he knew that like a career wise, he's like, well, yeah, Seth Green, if you have an opportunity to do these big movies, then yeah, you're going to do it. So that was, one reason why we didn't get more Oz. We had that one extra episode that he showed up at the end of season 4 there, just to return. But yeah, that was someone that would have been cool to explore even further if he didn't become a mega superstar and then start creating Robot Chicken and all that stuff. So that is your Buffy Seth Green fact of the week. Back to Kirby.
And speaking of hairy beast, hairy mongrels, we got SixPack and Dogwelder, Hard Travelin' Heroes. This is a DC comic by Garth Ennis. Art's done by Russ Braun. Very weird. It's kind of intro to a group that's known as Section 8, but I've never heard of them before, so I don't know if they've been around in comics or not. But Dogwelder, this character here, it starts out with him spying on his family. He's seeing his family that he can't see anymore, and they're talking about getting a puppy and stuff, and he's just sitting outside their window, staring in, watching what's going on while they're opening presents and stuff like that. The rest of the group of the Section 8 crew are all pretty much hanging out at a bar, getting pretty wasted. SixPack is basically a major drunk. He's just, this guy here, this big purple character, is just a big purple monster looking character with huge teeth coming out. His name's Bator, and that's all he says is, "I am Bator." It's basically like the Groot of the group. They go back to some old history while they're talking in the bar where they dealt with zombie rabbits at one time. Well, actually a zombie zoo where there were all kinds of different animals they had to deal with. You got some super heroines sitting in the pub hanging out that you might recognize, some familiar faces in there, but they don't refer to him as name like Catwoman and stuff like that. But these gals are in here. There's one character that is complete intestines is all he is. He's got no body. It's just the internal organs, or she, I should say, because she dates this guy, El Bueno. It's just, it's a very strange crew. But while they're in a bar, all of a sudden this giant green thing starts forming up in the sky outside, and they eventually catch on to it and go to see what's going on with that. And I'm not gonna give it away to anybody, but if you're looking at all, you'll see a character that appears from the cloud.
I recognize him.
Yeah. Very strange comic. I mean, I love animals, so I hate any animal torture, so I never even thought about it when I picked it up. And it's not really torture because Dogwelder, you kind of wonder what his abilities are, but his ability is to take dogs that are roadkill and weld them to people's bodies. I don't understand how that works physically because a welder with no metals and stuff, how that's working. It's just, I don't know. This is a very, very strange, but I will read another one or two to see where it's going, to find out more about this whole crew, because you pretty much spend the whole time with him just checking on his family, bummed out, reliving old days, and then everybody else just sitting in a bar talking. So it doesn't really go into too much, and then it ends like I showed you with that. So that's got my interest, and I want to see where that's going to go. But yeah, it's DC comic, very strange. But that's what I like. That's why I picked it up. So
Yeah, I always say that every time I see your titles, I never believe they're real until you physically show them on camera, and then I'm like, okay, he's not just making this up.
There really is a book name.
SixPack and Dogwelder, hard traveling heroes.
it's something that some guys would make up in a bar and a comic book.
Good. Well, that will do
I
it.
think they came out of the Earth 1 series. Earth 1 stories. DC Earth 1.
Good. All right. We are going to jump over to our letters page segment. All right. Save. Here's all the behind the scenes stuff that David talked about last week that we didn't get to see with last week's podcast because I was gone. So here it is, everybody, for everybody that missed this amazing me with my eyes darting around the screen as I'm saving and clicking and restarting and recording. Very entertaining. Okay. We are back, and here we go. Welcome to the letters page. Every time we do a letters page, we reach into the giant mailbag and grab exactly one letter from some random fan, one of the millions of fans that we have, and we read a question which we will all answer. This week's question: if you had to change the name of any comic book character, what would you change it to? Now, before if I give my answer here, I'm going to read Eric's answer. He had sent me his answer here in message. So Eric, who we got to hear from last week, if you want to check out last week's episode, he goes, "This is simple. I'd change the question to the answer. No one ever asks, what's he doing here? Because if you see him, he's likely trying to figure out the problem at hand. He's usually not there for asking questions, but finding the answers." So yeah, that is his approach. Fun fact: there is a independent series that has nothing to do with the DC question character that I think is called The Answer. It's probably over in my A books over here, but yep, this would be a rivaling answer character. Okay, so thank you, Eric, for sending that in. My answer to this one: there is a character from Marvel Comics named Paste Pot Pete. Paste Pot Pete is an interesting villain. He is a villain. He has no superpowers, but he is a guy who is a chemist, I believe, who basically has all these contraptions and weapons and runs around. He's got a bucket of paste, and he uses glue and paste, and that's the way he uses his villainry against their superheroes, and he's often defeated. Paste Pot Pete became a joke, and later decided he needed to kind of reclaim his name and instill fear into the superheroes, and decided to rename himself the Trapster. So Paste Pot Pete became the Trapster. And then, I think he had a very similar career. I think he still used the same kind of weaponry and stuff. He didn't really reinvent himself so much, if I'm not mistaken. But ultimately, people just kind of kept making fun of him, saying, "Hey, remember you used to be Paste Pot Pete?" So it just was not helping. He could not shake that original name he gave himself. So what character I would change his name, who was Paste Pot Pete, then the Trapster? I would actually change it back to Paste Pot Pete and tell him, "Hey, own it. Paste Pot Pete, don't be ashamed of your name. Your name's Pete. You're carrying around a pot full of paste. It's very on brand. It's a very accurate name. People will remember you." That's one thing. If you are the Trapster, you would have to think like, okay, who was that again? Because there's a bunch of different villains who are all setting evil traps for Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. But if you're Paste Pot Pete, everyone's going to remember exactly who you are. And I think you need to own that and get to the gym, work on building some more muscle. Maybe see if you can find any kind of radioactive goo to kind of maybe cross your fingers and get some kind of powers. Because you don't have any superpowers, but maybe you could just try to, create a trap for yourself that would become an accident, and maybe it'll be a happy accident and you get superpowers. But I say embrace the Paste Pot Pete and return to that name. So that is my very controversial answer to that question. All right. We will jump over to Kirby. What is your take on this one?
I don't know. I couldn't really come up with something good or anything, but the one that always annoyed me was Dr. Stephen Strange. I hate when they spell Stephen Stephen instead of S-T-E-V. And so it's like either change it to that spelling, or you call him Dr. Riley Strange so you could nickname him Really Strange or something like that. But yeah, I didn't have nothing good for that one. So, but that name always annoyed me. So.
I like in the Infinity War movie when him and Peter Parker are meeting up, and he goes, "Oh, who are you?" He's like, "I'm Doctor Strange." "Oh, we're using our made up names." All right. Dr. Kurtzstad, what's your take on this one?
Well, I always thought X-23 was not a really great name for a superhero. So I've been trying to think of something. Ginsu Girl, maybe?
There you go. I could agree with that because, yeah, she's just kind of, referred to as her experiment number. So
Yeah, or maybe I was trying to think of an animal that has big claws like Wolverine or honey badger. Those are already taken.
yeah.
Anteater Girl or
Mink.
What? What was that, Jim?
Mink. Mink.
But yeah,
You know.
Laura Kinney is one of my favorites, and I would agree that, hey, look at that. Here's X-23 right here. I agree that she deserves a more a better fitting name than just her
Slash. Something like that. She needs a better name. So for now, we'll use Ginsu Girl. It's got that, same sound that they use in Marvel a lot, like Peter Parker and Paste Pot Pete. So we'll go with Ginsu Girl for now.
That works for me. Let's jump over to Katie for your answer.
Okay, I'm going to officially change Peter Quill to Star-Lord. So if you remember the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, he wants everyone to call him Star-Lord, and no one gets it but him. I want to officially change his birth name from Peter Quill to Star-Lord, and that's my answer.
So that's like when Tony Stark, referencing Infinity War again, the movie, he referred to him as Mr. Lord, and he goes,
Yeah.
No, just Star-Lord. So, I think Tony Stark would back you up on that. So.
Oh, cool. Well, excellent. I'm always appreciative of Mr. Stark's support. Plus, we got a lot of people named Peter in the Marvel Universe, so this will just clear it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's gonna make Kitty Pryde a little harder to find him because she's always attracted to Peters. So when she hears that there's Star-Lord, she's probably not even gonna consider him anymore.
yeah, that's true. That sounds very complicated. Well, we'll probably have to get a special event series that'll explain how that works out, or doesn't. You never know.
Into the Peterverse.
Into the Peterverse.
Okay, let's jump over to Jim.
Okay. My take is I'm going to change the name of the Signal, who is probably the newest member of the Bat family, and give him either a bird or a bat name. I think they just missed out on a huge opportunity there. Why not like Sparrowhawk or the Thrush or Bat Boy,
Hummingbird.
but and with a yellow
Vampire.
costume that could work. But with his powers making him in the daylight, something morning dove,
Good.
and as long as we're at it, I'm gonna rename Spoiler and Orphan too. So
There you go. Alrighty. So yeah, that'll complete our letters page for this week. Now, at the top of the show, there was a little tease for a brand new segment, and we are going to jump into that segment right now. Okay, I am going to pause and save. We don't have a theme song yet, but Kirby apparently is going to kick us off. So Kirby, when I give you the signal, you want to jump into what you had planned?
Yep.
So, yep, you'll do the little intro noise or whatever, and then I will kind of introduce it, and I'll probably kick it back to you if you want to start with the show and tell.
I got two things, so if you want to split it up, that's fine too.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay, we are recording.
What did you get? What did you get?
Welcome to the Pocket Dimension. The Pocket Dimension is a brand new segment that Kirby suggested where we're going to jump into the Pocket Dimension, see what's hiding in there. And what's hiding in there might be some goodies that we want to show and tell and share with our audience. If you are an audio listener, this will be an extra segment that will be fun to explore on the YouTube page. So maybe you should jump over and subscribe to Crimson Cowl Comics on YouTube so you can see some of these items that we are showing and not only hear the telling of them. So let's jump over to Kirby first in the Pocket Dimension. What do you have to show off here?
Greetings, my excellent friends. I'm Rufus. No, I'm Kirby. Just kidding you. But if you want something fun, you like Bill and Ted's, yeah, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, The Guide to a Bodacious Life. This goes into the first two movies, gives you all kinds of little games and things to check out, different little parts from the movie, and played it around, turned them into fun little games and story things you could get into. But yeah, you got a little bit of everything in here. It's a good bring back to all the fun parts of the movies and stuff. Learn how to go to a water park and hang out with the gang. How to survive a food court, or how to speak like Bill and Ted. It's they got lots of fun things in here. So if you're a fan of the first two movies, this is something definitely worth checking out. It's a small little hardcover book.
Looks like a most excellent choice.
That it is.
All right. The item that I am going to share here that is inside the Pocket Dimension, I will talk about on future issues of this podcast. So I won't go into detail what this is, but I'm going to show off the item here. There is something in this giant treasure chest. If you recognize the symbol that is on the cover of this chest, you might know what's inside. So here it is, a giant treasure chest. That was an item that I happened to find in the Lost Woods, if you will. And I opened it up, and there was really good treasures inside. So that's a little teaser of something that I will be talking about in reviewing what's inside the box, if you will. What's in the box? What's in the box? I know. This wasn't in the box. This was in a different box. Okay, before we jump back over to Kirby, since this was a last-minute segment, was there anything anybody else had to share?
I actually do.
All right.
My child is great. Nick has all kinds of connections that I don't have. I'm always amazed by that. And every now and then he surprises me with something like this. It's kind of hard with this is a picture that Katie, I'm sure, is now salivating about.
It's very lovely, very cool.
And signed by James Earl Jones.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty awesome.
So
Now,
when Nick produces these for me, I am always so excited. I've got 4 of them now, so hoping for in the future maybe 1 or 2 more. But this is one I thought might be interested in, James Earl Jones.
Now I gotta say, if I were to review that item, my first thought would be that it's impressive, but no, it's most impressive. All right, excellent. Anyone else before we jump over to Kirby again?
Sure.
Oh, no.
I got a few things. Okay, go ahead, Katie.
No, you go first.
All right. I picked up some new minis for my D&D campaign.
Ooh.
We've been going pretty heavy into confronting the undead, so I had to add to the undead army I've got going. And I've got a mummy,
Ooh.
a specter,
Oh, that's cool.
a wraith, and
Nice.
a lich.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're gonna have some fun painting and then fun presenting them to the party.
This will be good. Well, as a player, I'm super excited. My character's a little afraid, though. Those look cool.
And with me, I don't know much about that world, but my question is, like, when you go and paint those, are you painting them off of like established like paint schemes, or is it something completely new that you're doing where you're like, you know what, this shall be red?
Kind of that way. Mummies are kind of like, okay, it's a mummy, it's wrapped in bandages, but but some of these are, this is actually a translucent material. So I'm not exactly sure how to paint that to reflect the translucency. So I got to think on that one for a while.
Yeah, we couldn't even see anything that you were holding up there, so we just have to take the word for it.
What? It's gone.
We just saw your face. So. Cool. Katie.
Okay, I'll share, and I'm going to try and do a share screen because I have a picture of this.
Oh, and
Because only the host can do it.
Yeah, and David's away at the moment, so
Okay.
you have to accept that. So
No
Save it
problem.
for next time.
Yes, yeah, or I'll post it on the Facebook group. Okay, so I was given a baby Yoda doll for my birthday a few months ago. We were socially distanced. My cousin gave it to me, and she left it on her porch, and I picked it up and then immediately texted her about how great it was. He's super cute. He appears to be like crocheted, almost like a kamigori, and he fits in my hand. So he's a little bit smaller than some of his brothers that you can get at the store, but that's okay because he's homemade but has lots of love. And a few weeks ago, when it was still nice outside, I did a little fall photo shoot with him around the house, and I took pictures of him enjoying a pumpkin spice latte, and we looked at the fall leaves together, had a fun time leaf peeping, and I even taught him how to work remotely. So he's been helping me with my laptop work on some documents. But he's really cute. It's extra special because it was a very thoughtful gift, and definitely the way this year's been going, having something small and huggable is very fun. So yeah, I have a little crocheted baby Yoda doll.
That's really cool. Though my children would say, it's not baby Yoda, it's the child.
That's correct. He is the child. But to me, he's baby Yoda. So yes, he is the child. Officially, government named the child, but his real name is something.
Popular name is Baby Yoda.
Yes, I don't want the Empire to find him because there's a lot of bad people that are hunting him, and if I give out his government name, then they're going to find him, and I don't want that. So
yeah, that's a wise decision to kind of keep that under wraps for right now.
Cool.
Thank you.
And with that baby Yoda, do you see that you're having problems, like if you have like a ball on like a gear shift, or maybe your mouse pad or something that's gone missing that he keeps trying to take or something?
Well, I don't notice anything missing yet, but when we were working on my laptop together, my cursor was going everywhere, and I had all these different tabs open and stuff, and he was going into YouTube and Spotify and picking out all this music. We have listened to Baby Shark like 100 times, so yeah, he's putting them force powers to work. I gotta teach him some manners about that, but
I'd be more worried about your pet frog.
oh yeah. Well, I have a pet porg. Do you think he likes porgs? Because that could be disturbing. Because I was trying to be nice to him.
I've seen little lizard tails sticking out of his mouth every now and then.
Yeah.
And the moment you said baby shark, then Jeff the land shark here got really excited and jumped up onto my screen here. So
Jeff the land shark, do. Jeff the land shark, do.
Excellent. Kirby.
All right. A couple weeks back, Anthony showed us something that he received from Heather Antos, a trading card that was drawn up, and I happened to. There's Anthony's.
Yep, as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but as a penguin.
Yeah. He likes to make all the characters penguin formed, and I, of course, got myself Squirrel Girl.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had a feeling she wouldn't do tippy toe, so I thought about ordering tippy toe separate, but I didn't yet. But then
cool.
for Shelley, I decided to order Morbius.
Excellent.
And then what else would you do if you just wanted to get a third character, Anthony? What would you try to throw her off with a little bit?
Oh boy. I mean, it's not me, is it?
No, you're not quite immortalized enough yet that she could find you anywhere. She would have had to go out and buy a certain magazine because she couldn't look you up online. So.
Okay, but is it Madman?
No, but she loves penguins, so I wanted to see
The
her
penguin is a
version.
penguin.
I wanted to see her version of Penguin as a penguin.
Wow.
That's great.
Oh yeah, I splurged, Anthony. After I seen that, I couldn't just get one for myself. So
It's funny because I think I saw that penguin one because she like posts some of them every now and then.
Oh, okay.
Not knowing that I'm pretty sure that would be the one there. So
Yep.
yeah, I was thinking about that today and how I need to order some more because yeah, go to heatherantos.com. Well, it was what, $10 for that?
Yeah, $10 a piece.
Yeah, and she's just, you know, have a pop culture character drawn as a penguin, and yeah, it's a pretty cool. Pretty
And
cool.
she's another lazy signer, like Anthony is, where he just puts ant, and she just does HA, ha, just Heather Antos. So,
Which is funny. Speaking of Squirrel Girl and some lazy signatures, as you call them, taking it out from the wall display here is Erica Henderson, who is the artist for the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and she signs her name A, basically EH exclamation point. It's the same thing, but
yep.
I got it.
cool. All right. I suppose I'm up next. I'm not going to run off screen. I'm excited to talk about this more as the Disney Plus series has a release date, but I'll be revisiting the Dan Slott She-Hulk run because they collected the entire volume into this omnibus here. She-Hulk by Dan Slott. I've read, I think, volume 1, which probably goes up to the first 12 issues, but there's another half of the series that I never got around to finishing. But because of the popularity of the upcoming Disney Plus series that will be in production soon, I figured, yep, I'm going to take advantage of the omnibus. So I'll talk about this more as the series is coming out, but I'll show you under the dust jacket here, the awesome drawing here. So
Look at the guns.
Pretty excited for the this one is Mayhew. I always want to say Peter Mayhew, but that was Chewbacca. I think it's like I forget his first name, but yeah. Anyways, this is a awesome collection that I'm excited to dive into. Anyone else have anything? All right, then we'll close it off with one final thing. Speaking of the Allreds, Bowie, a Michael Allred coloring book is here, everybody. At the beginning of the year, they had the Bowie Moon Age Daydream Stardust. There's a bunch of, it's a wacky title. A graphic novel that is going through the life of David Bowie that Michael Allred, Steve Horton co-wrote, art by Michael and Laura Allred. Now it's available as a coloring book. So they're taking pages from that original graphic novel and offering it up in the black and white format so you can color it yourself. So if you're a fan of David Bowie and you missed out on that, you can check those out. This is a pretty cool thing to add to the old collection.
Now,
Did you get one for Kurt?
Hold on. Kirby, what were you saying?
I was curious if you did happen to ask Laura Allred how much it would cost to have her color it if you sent it to her.
Yeah, I didn't. I did joke about saying this is going to be very expensive to send this to Laura to have her color all this, but I've seen her rates online, and I took algebra twice, so I'm not going to attempt to calculate that on the.
Probably hand it to one of their grandchildren and have them do it.
Yeah, I'd pay for that too. But yeah, Jim, you were saying something?
I said, did you buy a copy for Kurt so you could color it in?
Oh, that is a great idea. He would love to add color to this physical book. Cool. All right, if that is it, we are all going to jump out of the pocket dimension. All right, we did it. Whoa! Maybe I'll put in a sound effect if I don't forget. So, okay, so that is going to do it. That was our first round of the pocket dimension segment. Look forward to that every now and then. If we have something. All right, that is going to do it for this issue of the podcast. In the upcoming weeks, we have some club discussions. Next week, we will talk about X-Ray Robot issue number 4, which is the conclusion of the Dark Horse miniseries. The week after that, we will talk about Inkblot issue number 4, not the finale of that series. And then the week after that, leading towards, I think it's like the week or so before Christmas, Batman, The Adventures Continue, issue number 7. So we will spread them out to do one a week for the next 3 weeks. So X-Ray Robot 4, Inkblot 4, Batman Adventures Continue 7. So that'll be our December club discussions coming up. And I think that will do it. We'll have the Marvel and DC previews. I think we'll probably start next week as well. The new catalog. I don't know if the physical catalog is out there yet, but I see the digital stuff is out there. So yeah, so look forward to that on the show. Subscribe to us on Crimson Cowl Comics on iTunes, Under the Cowl on iTunes, Kirby's podcast Under the Cowl of MS on iTunes, and wherever you get your podcast, Anchor Podcast, and all of that fun stuff. Spotify, we're probably on there. And then that one source where we upload them, but we don't dare speak their name. So we're not going to plug them. But check that out, and we will be back with you next week. This entire time has been the... Hold on, there's an autocorrect on my pre-planned thing. Okay, yep, there is a letter missing, so I'm going to pretend none of that happened. Here we go. This entire time has been the kind of conundrum that really melts my butter.
I've been a bodacious platypus.
Kurt, I am your father.
I'm the Jedi ambassador to planet Arrakis.
I'm Jim.
To be continued.